Hey everybody, hope you are well. I am back out and about, driving around a lot, mostly driving to and from Hartford. I happen not to be in Hartford today, which is awfully nice. Thought I'd sort of give an update on process, first of all. We are, as I've said before, the Finance Committee has later deadlines than other committees, so we're sort of in the heat of our public hearings on bills. And one of the things that we do after we had a public hearing yesterday on a number of bills in the Finance Committee, and then immediately either the day after or within 2 days of the meeting, we have a screening meeting, which is the meeting of the leaders of the committee, which is to say the co-chairs, my Senate chair, Senator John Fonfara, and myself, and the ranking members, which are the senior Republicans on the committee, as well as our some staff members, some partisan staff, and some not, and basically all the nonpartisan staff. It can be a very, very crowded room in the Finance Committee because we have a lot of nonpartisan staff that help us out. And what we do is we meet. It's very important to me that we meet very quickly after the hearing while the testimony is fresh. And I say that in part because, again, I've recently drawn to my attention that Connecticut's a little bit unusual in the way we really do encourage the members of the public to come and testify on bills. And sometimes the bills are big picture things, and we get a lot of people signed up, and sometimes they're very technical things. And some of the bills we heard this week were more technical in nature. But we get really good testimony, and we learn from people, and it enables us to then sit and talk about it immediately after, from very small technical things that people point out in the testimony that can help us make a bill better. And there was one bill with respect to how we tax large-scale solar arrays in Connecticut, which can be very wildly inconsistent, which leads to bad outcomes both for municipalities and for solar providers. And I came into it's a very complicated area of law, and I wasn't sure we'd get to it, but finish line. But after the hearing, I'm much more optimistic about it because people on all sides of the issue were really making very constructive suggestions for changes that I think we can get to. So it goes from the sort of the sometimes very small technical issues to, of course, the big picture budget issues, which we're starting to focus on as we analyze and calculate the cost of various policies and who they will affect and all of that. We're running a bunch of ideas and trying to figure out what actually will go into what we call the revenue package, which is the revenue side of the budget that will come out of our committee at the end of August. And then, April. And that, of course, is related both to the immediate situation and to, keeping an eye on what's happening in Washington. And we, a lot of those big cuts that we now expect, for example, a $1 to $2 billion cut to our Medicaid funding may not come immediately. It may come after session. And so we want to set up structures that can enable us to address that after regular session ends. But some of it's starting to happen now. I mean, there are all kinds of, announcements. $150 million in public health grants were canceled. There's a program known as LIHEAP, which stands for Low Income Heating Assistance Program, which helps low income families pay for fuel costs during high demand periods to make sure that they can keep the heat on. Very important program. The federal government provides about $80 million to Connecticut every year. The federal government has fired everyone who runs that program, so we're concerned about that funding. In schools. 37 federal contracts with Connecticut companies have been canceled. The list goes on. This is the stuff that's happening already. So that we're trying, sort of managing the immediate picture and the longer term, make sure that we're prepared to deal with more to come. So I know that concerns a lot of you because I hear from you about it, and it certainly concerns me. And this weekend in particular, there will be many of us out getting together to talk about those concerns and maybe make some noise about those concerns. And so there are a lot of those events this Sunday, April 5th. Throughout the Northwest corner, I will be at events in Salisbury, Cornwall, and Torrington, but there are many others, and I'll put the other details in the newsletter. And then I just wanted to note two other things that will be in the newsletter. One is the Department of Transportation has a new distracted driving initiative to draw attention to that. We have, let's see, in Connecticut in 2022, there were 5,300 crashes attributed to distracted driving that resulted in 8 fatalities and more than 787 injuries. It is, as I'm still not allowed to run given my knee, but I'm now out on a bicycle, and you know, if you don't see it on the roads, you definitely see it when you're on a bike. So that will be really important, and I hope we all pay attention to habits that we all get into that we think are little but can really put others at risk. And then, of course, finally, we in my family are big the Huskies, the Connecticut women's basketball team fans, and they are in the Final Four this year, which is very exciting. And so I also, having been in an earlier part of my legislative life, chair of the committee that has cognizance over gaming, I'm going to include in the newsletter some, just be careful about gaming, your sports betting on in March Madness, to make sure that you're doing what's appropriate and responsible for you and your family. With that, go Huskies, and maybe I'll see you out there this weekend.